on our touchscreens, the operator will typically go to the run screen initially. And if he's ready to go, he turns his zones on. They're toggled on with the switch. It also has on the barrels, all zones actually have this as a manual mode where we can force a particular heating or cooling percentage. This is used typically on the barrels to force cool them. You can set them from minus 100%, and when you hit the manual mode, they all go to force cool. And then you have an off signal. It's the third mode of operation. We have a temperature detail for each grouping of 4 zones. They're related to the JetFlex units. We have 4 zones in each unit. So there's one page for zones 1 through 4. We have zones 5 through 8, second module, and zones 9 through 12 on the third module. Of course, we're not using the zones 11 and 12, so these are blank. There's nothing on the screen. If you decide you want to use those, it's a very simple operation. We'll show you later when we get over to the menu page. Go back to zone 1 here, and we'll play around with that one, make some adjustments. We'll show you a couple of things on how we indicate cold barrel, hot barrel, and a good barrel temperature. Right now, our zones are off, so our limit alarms are not active. If we turn this on to run, we've got a set point of 312 degrees. We have 77 as an ambient, which tells us the zone's cold. That's why the background is blue. If we change our temperature to 8 degrees, we show a red background, which means the zone is hot. In this case, we have a 50-degree plus and minus window set. You can set it for wherever you want, 5 degrees, 2 degrees, whatever you want. We have the manual mode setting is right here. So right now it's set for minus 100%. If we toggle to manual, the power vector goes to minus 100%, and our solid state relay would be on, and our fan would be running, and we'd be cooling at this point. We could switch that to 50%, and we have our vector goes to plus 50, have a heating indicator, and our zone is flashing at a 50% duty cycle to heat the zone. And we can set that anywhere we'd like. If you set it to 0, everything goes off. And you can hear the fan. The fans kick on when the zone goes to heat. So let's turn this zone off. And we're going to go over to the menu screen. If you notice, we do have a message that comes up here. And presently the machine is in a status where it's in a soaking mode. I'd like to go over here and show a couple of things. We have an alarm screen, and this gives you your general alarms that occur: high temp, low temp, runaway, zone runaway, that type of thing show up on that screen. We have a TC monitor screen where you can see what's going on with the zones. In the case where we have an open thermocouple, I can remove the connector for the last unit, JetFlex unit, and we have open TCs that show up and a heater safety fault. I have to get this connector back in here. Okay, and our alarm will go away on the indicator here, but we still have our high safety fault. Return here. If we hit the fault reset, temps are okay. We have a recipe screen for the process, and in the process we can save a setting. Let's suppose you get your process running, everything looks good, you have your zone set points all correct. You then go over to, and you have all your alarms, your limits all set correctly. All those are stored in the recipe, and this will move over. There we go. We can see a little wider. And you arrow down, you'll get to see all the deviations and the bypass switches for those, the manual settings, and Just stretch it over, just a nice window thing. In here, what we'll do is, let's suppose we have some good settings in the machine. We want to upload. There's a little arrow on that one pointing up. And what we're doing is pulling it out of the PLC and saving it in, it's in the screen scratch pad location right now. So if we want to save it as a menu, a recipe, we could hit the double, which is a save as. Now we could go ahead and touch that, we get a keypad. So we can call this product ABC1. Hit enter, and then OK. Now we have saved it as ABC1. So if an operator comes along and he wants to run this product again, he'll come over, let's return out of here and come back into the screen. And we see the top row is blank. If we touch the arrow over here, we have ABC1. Whoop, I picked the wrong one. ABC1, okay? At this point, all the numbers will pop up, and then he'll hit the down arrow, it'll save it to the PLC, and those will be the settings he's going to run for that product. And you can return back. From that screen, you have the ability to delete one. You can create a new one from scratch. You can open one up, and you could save it as a new name. That's another feature you could do. We have temp limits, and in here we have, you show our actual temp, our set point, high deviation, low deviation. And then we have a switch in case you need to force the alarm off. You could do that with the button. On the side, any field that's yellow, you can adjust a number in. Any field that's green is fixed readout from the machine. This is your set point for the soak timer. This is the timer timing out. And then this is your high temp safety interlock. You can set that wherever you want. If you don't want it to trip out at all on an open thermocouple, you set it up to 1001 degrees and it won't happen, because when the thermocouples go open, they read 1000 degrees. So you set it for 1001 and it won't trip out. And we return here. We have items like calibrate touchscreen. So if you touch that, it comes up with the buttons. You touch the buttons and it'll recalibrate the screen. The clean screen gives you a timer bar, and it allows you time to wipe the screen down so you're not tripping off any buttons. And then we have a tuning function. When we start, the first time we do the zones, we'll want to go through this operation, and at room temperature, what you'll do is come over here and say pick zone 1. You hit the button, goes through a sequence of operations, the zone goes on, it does some transmission of data and sets up the JetFlex unit to do its tuning, and it loads up a temperature here that's a little bit over, or just about 4 times the ambient temperature. And then it goes into a tuning mode. When the tuning is complete, the JetFran unit tells the PLC it's done, and it resets the tuning operation. We could clear it here by just coming in and turning the zone off. And that clears it. So we can manually clear it that way.